Okay, get this. A movie about a traditional, centuries-old art form is absolutely dominating the modern box office. It sounds kind of impossible, right? But the film Kokuho has become a massive phenomenon in Japan. So today, we're going to break down exactly how an art of the past became the smash hit of the present. Let's dive in. First things first, just let this number sink in. That is 16 billion yen, which is well over 100 million US dollars. And look, this isn't the box office for the latest anime or some sci-fi blockbuster. This is the haul for a film about kabuki, a super stylized traditional form of Japanese theater. So that's the big question, right? How on earth does an art form that got its start in the 17th century grab the attention of a 21st century audience? Well, the answer is this incredible story of rebellion, sacrifice, and a surprising link to the pop culture you probably already know and love. To really get why this movie is such a big deal, we have to understand kabuki itself. And trust me, its origins are probably not what you're thinking. Forget all that stuffy high society art. This thing was born on the streets. The name itself kind of tells the story. The word kabuki actually started with a verb that meant to lean or, to be eccentric. It was basically slang for anything weird, outlandish, or out there. It was only later that it got the more polished characters for song, dance, and skill. Yeah, get this. Kabuki's roots are actually in the kabukimono, these flamboyant, rebellious street gangs in feudal Japan. You can think of them as the super stylish delinquents of their time, always trying to stand out and cause a scene. That's the defiant energy that sparked this whole art form. It all kicked off around the year 1600, started by a woman, a shrine maiden named Izumono Okuni. She and her troupe put on these wild, outlandish dances in Kyoto, and people went absolutely crazy for it. This was mass entertainment, the pop music video of its day, and yeah, it was often pretty racy and provocative. Okay, so wait a minute. If it was started by women and was so popular, why is kabuki famous today for its all-male casts? Well, that very popularity ended up being a problem for the authorities, and that led to a whole series of bans that changed the art form forever. The government basically saw these mixed-gender troupes and their suggestive performances as a threat to public morals. So, in 1629, boom, they banned women from the stage completely. The troops then started using young male actors for the female roles, but that led to similar problems, so they got banned too. The final result? Only adult men were allowed to perform, and that rule has defined kabuki ever since. And this ban created one of the most fascinating traditions in kabuki, the anagata. These are male actors who dedicate their entire lives to mastering the art of playing women. And it's not just about putting on a costume. It's a lifetime of grueling, intense training to embody this idealized form of femininity, from the pitch of their voice down to the tiniest movement of a finger. Now, creating this super disciplined, all-male world didn't just change the performances. It created this rigid social structure, a structure built on tradition and inheritance that leads right to the central conflict of the film, Kokuho, a battle between who you're born as and what you can do. At the heart of all this is the Iamoto system. It's this strict, family-based hierarchy. Famous stage names, which are like brands worth millions, get passed down through bloodlines. It's a world where being born into the right family can honestly matter more than just raw talent. And that tension is still a big deal in the kabuki world today. And this one line from the movie's trailer, it just says it all. This is the voice of the total outsider, the guy born with nothing, who dares to challenge a 400-year-old system with nothing but his own ambition and skill. He's not just asking for a place at the table, he's demanding the top spot. And this is it. This is the core drama of the movie laid out right here. You've got the heir, born into greatness, and then you have the outsider, who has to fight and claw his way up from absolutely nothing. They're rivals, they're like brothers, they're enemies, and watching their lives intertwine is what makes the story so powerful. It's a classic underdog story set in this world of breathtaking art. But Kokuho is more than just a story about social climbing and rivalry. It's really about the immense personal cost of creating art that's truly transcendent. What does it take to become a master? The answer pretty much is everything. So there's this old and, very controversial saying from the kabuki world. Playing with women is nourishment for the art.
This was kind of a justification for actors, especially the Onagata, to lead these really chaotic personal lives. The idea was that to truly understand the intense passions and sorrows they were acting out on stage, they had to live them, blurring that line between life and performance.
This whole philosophy creates this incredibly demanding cycle for the actor. It starts with just relentless, grueling training from the time you're a little kid. It continues with a life of intense, often self-destructive personal experiences. And then all of that gets funneled back into the art. The goal is to basically burn your entire life as fuel, all to create one perfect, fleeting moment on stage. And the stories they're telling are just as dramatic as their lives. These are not simple little fables. You've got Sonozaki Shinju, a gut-wrenching story of lovers who choose to die together rather than live apart. Renjishi is this fierce physical test of a father pushing his son to the brink to survive. And Dojoji, man, it's this terrifying story of jealousy so powerful it literally turns a woman into a serpent demon. These are stories about deep, timeless human emotions. What's so cool is how this influence is literally baked into the Japanese language. The hanamichi, which is the walkway actors use to enter through the audience, is now a word for a glorious final moment, like a hero's send-off. Kuromaku, the name for the stagehands in black who are supposed to be invisible, is now the word for a secretive mastermind pulling the strings behind the scenes. And that influence doesn't stop with language. I mean, think about shows like Super Sentai, which we know in the West as Power Rangers. That whole concept of team dynamics, a group of heroes with really distinct roles and personalities, that draws so heavily from the classic character types that were established in kabuki plays. The DNA of this 400-year-old art is in some of the most popular entertainment in the world today. Which brings us all the way back to the title. Kokuho means national treasure. The film really makes you ask what that means. Is a national treasure the art form itself, preserved perfectly for centuries? Or is it the artist? The flawed, rebellious human being who burns their own life to the ground to create something that lasts forever. What's truly worth preserving?